Good day, everyone. I am Marie Antoinette Alfaro of Med24C, and here is my community's DRRM blueprint. For the objectives of this activity, we have number one, define key DRRM concepts such as disaster, hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. Two, identify the four pillars of DRRM. And three, analyze potential hazards and vulnerabilities in their local community. And lastly, propose practical DRRM strategies applicable to their community. Part 1. Video Reflection. There are four pillars of DRRM. First, prevention and mitigation. These are actions that reduce or eliminate risk and hazards before they cause harm. Second, preparedness. Planning and organizing before a disaster so people know what to do. Third, response. Actions taken during and right after a disaster. And lastly, recovery and rehabilitation. These are long-term efforts to restore normal life and rebuild communities. These are the definition of key terms from the video. Number one, disaster. Disaster is a serious disruption of normal functioning of a community or society caused by hazardous events, leading to widespread losses in lives, property, and the environment. Two, hazard. It is a potentially damaging event or phenomenon that cause harm to people, property, environment, or livelihood. Three, exposure. The people, property, systems, or other elements that are present in hazard-prone areas and are at risk of being affected. And lastly, vulnerability. It is the weaknesses or conditions that make people, property, or communities more likely to suffer harm when a hazard occurs. Here is my key takeaways from Dr. Lagmay's DRRM presentation. Disaster risk reduction and management goes beyond simply reacting to disasters after they occur. As Dr. Alfredo Mahar Lagmay explains, an effective approach must be holistic and continuous, addressing every stage of disaster management. Instead of focusing only on response, which involves rescue and relief during emergencies, DRRM emphasizes prevention and mitigation to reduce risk before hazard strikes, and preparedness to ensure that communities know what to do when disaster happen. After a disaster, the focus shifts to response to save lives and provide immediate assistance, followed by recovery and rehabilitation, which restore normalcy and rebuild communities to be stronger and more resilient. Now let us move on to the second part of this activity, the community hazard and vulnerability assessment. First is flooding. Flooding is common in Las Piñas City due to the Zapote River and poor drainage. Physical. Informal settlements built along riverbanks and low-lying areas, inadequate drainage systems that get clogged with garbage, and congested roads like Alabang Zapote Road that slow down evacuation. Social. Families in informal settlements often lack disaster awareness. Elderly and persons with disabilities have difficulty evacuating quickly. Economic: many low-income households cannot afford sturdy housing or flood insurance. Flood disrupts small businesses and daily wage earners. Environmental: garbage accumulation in waterways reduces water flow, wetlands being degraded lessen natural flood protection. Second, earthquakes. Las Piñas City experienced an Intensity 2 earthquake last week. This is due to the proximity to the West Valley Fault System. First, physical. Old, non-engineered or poorly maintained houses and public buildings and some schools and health facilities are not fully compliant with building codes. Second, social. High population density in urban barangays makes evacuation and rescue harder. Limited earthquake preparedness drills among residents. Economic: families with limited resources cannot afford retrofitting of homes, businesses may not have continuity plans. And lastly, environmental: Liquefaction-prone soils near the river and coastal areas increase structural risk during strong ground shaking. Lastly, fire hazards. These are common in densely populated areas and informal settlements in Las Piñas City. Vulnerabilities includes first, physical, closely packed houses in informal settlements, and many of them are made of light and flammable materials. Lack of fire hydrants in some areas. Second, social. Lack of fire safety awareness. Crowded neighborhoods mean fire spread quickly, and children, elderly, and persons with disabilities are at higher risk. Third, economic. Low-income families often use unsafe electrical connections and kerosene lamps. As a result, fire can wipe out the little assets these families own. And lastly, environmental. Accumulated garbage and poor waste management contribute to fire spread and hinder firefighting access. Let us now move on to the last part of this activity, the DRRM strategy proposal. Here's our two practical DRRM strategies tied to different pillars. First one is prevention and mitigation strategy. Specific actions include first, implement regular dredging and clearing of the Zapata River and drainage channels to prevent clogging from garbage. Second, rehabilitate wetlands and plant bamboo and mangroves along waterways to act as natural flood barriers. Third, relocate informal settlements away from high-risk flood zones and provide affordable in-city housings to prevent people from returning to danger zones. Why is it important? This reduces the hazard impact of flooding by restoring natural defenses and strengthening infrastructure. It also lowers vulnerability by moving families away from danger and giving them safer homes. Following Dr. Lagmay's emphasis on proactive measures, this strategy ensures that disaster risks are lessened before floods strike, rather than relying only on relief efforts after disasters. And lastly, preparedness strategy, a community-based early warning and evacuation system. Specific actions include first, install flood gauge and loudspeaker sirens in barangays along the Zapata River that automatically trigger when water level rise. Second, identify and map safe evacuation routes and centers, and conduct quarterly evacuation drills. And lastly, train barangay volunteers to monitor hazards and assist vulnerable groups like the elderly, children, and persons with disability. Why is it important? This strengthens preparedness by ensuring people know where to go and what to do when floods or other hazards occur. It reduces exposure and builds community resilience. With community participation, this reflects Dr. Lagmay's point that disaster management should be people-centered and proactive. In summary, Las Piñas City faces major hazards such as flooding, earthquakes, and fires, with vulnerabilities ranging from informal settlements and poor drainage to aging infrastructure, poverty, and environmental degradation. Applying the four pillars of DRRM, prevention or mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery, is essential to reduce this risk. Practical strategies like rehabilitating riverbanks, improving drainage, and setting up community-based early warning and evacuation systems show how proactive measures can lessen exposure and vulnerability while strengthening community resilience. By combining science, good planning, and community participation, Las Piñas can move from being disaster-prone to becoming a safer and more resilient city. That would be all, and thank you for listening.